Venezuela commemorates 533 years of indigenous resistance with symbolic activities to pay tribute to the struggle of the native peoples. In the United States, the shutdown of the federal government has led to over 4,000 public employees being fired. The Islamic resistance movement Hamas and Israel will begin the release and exchange of detainees on Monday as part of the first phase of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. Hello and welcome to From the South, from the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. My name is Pablo Micheliche. We begin with the news. Venezuela commemorates 433 years of indigenous resistance with symbolic activities to pay tribute to the struggle of the indigenous peoples. During the day, President Nicolás Maduro joined the massive march that went through the streets of Caracas to pay tribute to the Venezuelan indigenous peoples, reaffirming the state's commitment to social justice, equality, and the defense of cultural identity. They also pay tribute to the father of the homeland, Simón Bolívar, and to the symbolic remains of chieftains Huaycaipuro and Apacuana. At the same time, the national leader announced the creation of internationalist militias brigades of indigenous peoples to strengthen the comprehensive defense of the nation.
I was going to tell this militia commander that we should accelerate and deepen the expansion of the Bolivarian indigenous militias in every territory of the country. Create internationalist indigenous brigades throughout Latin America to come here, a Bolivarian indigenous militia, because I have gotten letters from several indigenous peoples throughout the Americas who are ready and willing to come and fight with us for our independence and sovereignty.
President Nicolás Maduro reiterated the commitment to always protect the freedom and right to peace of all Venezuelans.
And I say this to all Venezuelans. We have fought and we will continue to fight with perseverance and persistence, and always victorious for the freedom of our people, for the independence of our homeland, and for the right to peace, which has to be earned and defended and supported day by day. We are an undefeatable people.
Ecuadorian police forces repressed indigenous protests on the Day of Resistance. In the last few hours, security forces fired tear gas at protesters who were peacefully demanding their social rights amidst the economic crisis hitting the population. These measures are authorized by the government of Daniel Noboa with the aim of silencing Ecuadorians who reject his government's management. In addition, the Ecuadorian president accused these groups of protesters of being alleged criminals in order to justify police repression. In Nicaragua, people also commemorated Indigenous, Black, and Popular Resistance Day. On Saturday, the Managua City Council organized a parade in honor of the struggle of the region's indigenous peoples under the slogan Creative City, Multicultural Managua. The event also featured a food fair with entrepreneurs from Sandino University who showcased the country's typical dishes. Meanwhile, in Mexico, indigenous movements took to the streets in major cities to commemorate the struggles of their ancestors on Indigenous Resistance Day. Demonstrators also expressed solidarity with the Palestinian people following their resistance to the Israeli invasion, and they urged the international community to listen to Palestinian requests to address the humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. Also in Spain, activists threw red paint on a painting of Christopher Columbus at the Naval Museum in Madrid as a form of protest against centuries of oppression of indigenous peoples in Latin America and the Caribbean. Those responsible were arrested by security officials at the museum and subjected to interrogation. To date, the museum has not reported any details about the condition of the affected work painted in 1892 by José Santiago Carnelo y Alda. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and much more. We will be right back, stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, the shutdown of the federal government has led to over 4,000 public employees being fired. Interestingly enough, many of the fired employees have been to be partisans of the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, 1.3 million military personnel have been left without a salary. The inability of Congress to agree on an appropriations bill has brought the Trump administration to a standstill as of the 1st of October. We continue in the United States. Gun violence shook downtown Leland, Mississippi, leaving a preliminary toll of 4 people dead and at least a dozen injured. The shooting occurred on a main street and coincided with a gathering that increased the number of people in the area after a high school football game. Local lawmakers said that the number of victims could rise to 20. 4 of the injured, reported to be in critical conditions, had to be transferred by helicopter to regional medical centers. An investigation is ongoing, while no arrests related to the incident have been reported. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has launched a tour across several states recently hit by severe rainfall that caused widespread damage. According to her social media post, the visit will cover the 5 states hardest affected by the storms that struck on October 9, leading to flooding, road blockage, and infrastructural collapse in more than 111 municipalities. The president's agenda includes evaluating ongoing relief efforts, coordinating with local authorities, and ensuring that federal support reaches the most vulnerable communities. Sheinbaum emphasized that from the onset of the emergency, federal and state agencies have been working together to reopen damaged highways and restore connectivity in isolated areas. Violent gangs in Haiti, armed by the United States, have carried out 24 massacres in one single region over the last 9 months, while Washington and the United Nations promote a new occupation given the failed attempt coordinated by Kenya. According to the Haiti's National Human Rights Network, from January through September, dozens of people have been killed in the department of Artibonite, north of the country. The Human Rights Network has confirmed reports on at least 84 victims, including 4 local police officers and 2 officers from the multinational support mission. The failure of the mission contributed to a further deterioration of coexistence in the country. The Human Rights Network reports that violence has devastated the Artibonite department, which lacks the human and material resources to resolve the situation or to even kick-start a recovery. The Chinese embassy in Argentina has strongly rejected statements made by the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, boosting on conditioning the bailout to President Javier Milei's government on the expulsion of the Chinese diplomatic mission. The Chinese diplomats described the comments as provocative and reflective of a Cold War interventionist mentality, still rooted in certain sectors of the U.S. government. The Chinese response emphasizes that Latin America and the Caribbean are not anyone's backyard, and it highlights that China's cooperation with the region is based on mutual respect, non-interference, and on shared development. China has rejected any attempt by Washington to sow discord or interfere in the sovereign ties between the 2 nations. Now in Peru, following Dina Boluarte's removal from the presidency, many are calling for her detention to prevent her from fleeing and to ensure she faces justice over corruption and human rights abuse. Let's see more details.
La vacancia de Dina Boluarte no ha solucionado.
Dina Boluarte's resignation has not resolved the political and social crisis facing the country, and the families of the victims of the massacres of 2022 and 2023 are demanding that she be imprisoned. What we are asking for is prison for Dina Boluarte, prison for her, for the murderers, and for all those who have protected her and concluded with Mr. Dina Boluarte. That is the main thing. That is what we want. Not just the removal of Ms. Dina Boluarte. That does not solve the problem. What we are asking is for prison for that murderer.
Para la mayor parte de la ciudadanía,
for most citizens, Congress removed Boluarte because she is no longer useful to the interests and is harming their electoral ambitions. This does not clean up Congress. This does not clean up Congress acts. And these men do not become heroes. These men must be clear that we, as victims, and the Peruvian people will not forget that they are as guilty as Mr. Dina Boluarte, because they are the ones who have kept her in power.
Aunque Boluarte ha dicho que no saldrá del país,
although Boluarte has stated that she will not leave the country, her detractors are demanding her immediate arrest to prevent her from fleeing and to ensure that she faces justice for the nearly 10 investigations against her. That is what we are asking for as an organization, as direct victims. We are asking that she be arrested once and for all. We want to see her behind bars because nothing guarantees that she won't escape at some point. With so much corruption in our country, you can trust anyone. And with this president who has taken office, a man who has been accused or investigated for rape, we cannot allow it. And we do not trust him. And we will be vigilant.
Para diversos sectores políticos y sociales,
for various political and social sectors, the appointment of José Heri to replace Boluarte does not guarantee an adequate transitions for the upcoming elections in April of 2026. Let them all go and let us truly be rebuild our nation. Peru needs to be rebuilt, and in order to do so, we definitely need to enter into a constitutional process that will result in a new constitution.
En el actual panorama peruano,
in the current Peruvian landscape, public opinion expresses its distrust of the political groups in Congress, whom they accuse of wanting to remain in power forever. For this reason, citizens are announcing new protests and marches to demand that they all leave now.
Para exigir ahora que se vayan todos. Desde Lima, para teleSUR, Ramiro Angulo Maquiavelo.
The Anti-Fascist International Guatemala chapter rejected the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado and labeled the far-right leader as fascist. In a statement, the international organization said the Norwegian Committee for the Peace Prize is once again aligning itself with Yankee imperialism, its allies and its lackeys, the fascist and neo-fascist right wing of the world and the drug trafficking cartels. It is stained with the blood of our peoples. It is evidence of the strategy of death and domination that they seek to impose on Venezuela. It flagrantly violates the inalienable right of the Venezuelan people to self-determination. Machado is a businesswoman. She advocates for a free market economy and the privatization of state-owned companies, mainly in the oil industry, in defense of her neoliberal interests and those of U.S. imperialism, of which she is an unconditional tool. She has led one of the most brutal offensives against the Bolivarian Revolution, an opposition without limits, organizing and using the most cruel and despicable fascist practices against the people and government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to the extreme of requesting military intervention. She leads a fight against socialist transformations. She is a strong opponent of Chavismo. Her links to the fascist genocide of Benjamin Netanyahu are well known, with whom she has signed political agreements to support her intentions to intervene in Venezuela. And so she is linked to the most rancid of the fascist far right in the world. Finally, the text emphasizes, as Guatemalans, we strongly condemn her appointment and vigorously oppose President Bernardo Arévalo tarnishing the name of our people by publicly expressing his shameful support for such a despicable decision by the Nobel Committee. And we have a second short break coming up. But before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you will be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For a short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, and Israel will begin the release and exchange of detainees on Monday as part of the first phase of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. According to sources close to Hamas, the organization will release a total of 20 detainees in its effort to reach a lasting peace agreement. In response to Hamas' desire for peace, the Israeli cabinet is expected to release about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, most of them civilians who are still held in Tel Aviv. These developments are taking place against a backdrop of the international community waiting to see how the truce between Palestine and the Israeli regime evolves, and where the commitment of Netanyahu's army to keep its word and respect the sovereignty of the now reaffirmed Palestinian sovereign territory is being questioned. In Palestine, the bodies of around 200 Palestinian martyrs have been recovered from across the Gaza Strip, most of them in Gaza City. These victims were killed during Israel's genocidal war on the Strip. Meanwhile, an estimate of 20,000 people remain missing as rescue teams and civilians continue searching. On the other hand, on Saturday, the national campaign for the retrieval of Palestinian and Arab war victims' corpses and the disclosure of the fate of the missing revealed that Israel continues to withhold the bodies of 735 Palestinians, including 67 children. In Palestine, the Hamas resistance movement reaffirmed the sovereignty of the Palestinian people and their need to defend themselves against Israeli occupation. In the context of the peace agreement with Israel, Hamas considers necessary to form an independent government to administer the Gaza Strip during a transition period. Subsequently, presidential and parliamentary elections should be held in the West Bank and Gaza. Also, the nature of the mission of any international force that proposes to deploy in Gaza must be defined, so that Hamas can decide whether to accept it or reject it. The idea of a supreme representative to manage Gaza was rejected, emphasizing that the Palestinian people have the necessary capabilities to govern themselves. The leader of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, will participate in the peace summit in Egypt to promote a ceasefire and the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. Abbas confirmed his participation in the international summit to be held in the city of Sharm el-Sheikh, with the main objective of establishing mechanisms for a permanent ceasefire in the Palestinian coastal enclave. The summit will bring together various international leaders representing a diplomatic effort to end the Israeli offensive and address the critical humanitarian situation in the Palestinian territory. Previously, Abbas has reaffirmed the Palestinian Liberation Organization's willingness to cooperate with all relevant actors. We move on to other topics. In Cameroon, citizens are called to the polls this Sunday to hold elections marked by political tensions. 92-year-old Paul Biya, Africa's longest-serving leader, seeks to extend his term of office once again. More than 8 million people are called to vote in the over 31,000 polling stations set across the nation. There are 9 candidates, but the latest polls showed that the current president, who has strong support from France, could be re-elected. The main opposition figure, Maurice Kamto, was expelled from the election by the Election Commission on the grounds of plurality of candidacies within the party that nominated him. The results will not be known before October 26th. In the Seychelles, opposition candidate Patrick Herminy from the center-left United Party was declared the new president-elect on Sunday. According to official results published by the Electoral Commission in Victoria, the country's capital, President-elect Herminy won the second round with 52.7% of valid votes. With this result, the opposition leader surpassed incumbent President Wavel Ramkalawan, who got 47.3%. Upon being confirmed as the winner, Patrick Herminy, aged 62 and former President of the National Assembly, accepted the mandate, expressing his deep honor and unwavering faith in the strength and character of the people of Seychelles. For teleSUR English, my name is Pablo Micheliche. Thank you for watching.